Well, hello everyone. This is Brian Czach, and you're watching the episode 1 of the Brian Czach weekly vlog. And while I don't have any delusions of grandeur just yet, one day this might turn into a podcast. Seems like everybody has a podcast these days, and I might want to get in on the game. But for now, I'm just doing this as a weekly vlog on YouTube, sort of as a fresh injection of focus and energy for the YouTube channel. In keeping with the rest of this year, for me, this year has been very much a transition year, transitioning from being on the road quite a bit last year. Over 90 shows with Tracy Lawrence last year, plus however many shows I did to finish out the year with Mannheim Steamroller. It ended up being a full month of being on the road with Mannheim Steamroller. So however many shows, I never counted how many shows I did. Maybe it was like around 18 or something like that. 18, 19. Could have been more than that. We were doing like basically 6 shows a week, roughly. Anyway, yeah, so it's kind of an exciting week for me because later this week on Friday, so today is Tuesday, May 9th. On Friday, May 12th, Tracy Lawrence comes out with a brand new live album that I played drums on. I have not yet heard the record, so I'm really eager to get my hands on a copy and listen and check it out. I'm so excited to be able to say that I played on a Tracy Lawrence record. I mean, that's freaking awesome. It means so much to me. You have no idea. I worked my tail off on that gig and for that music, and really tried to honor those songs in the best way that I know how. And I really hope that the recording shows that. Like I said, I haven't heard it yet, so I'm kind of eager to, and I'm a little bit filled with anxiety too, because I remember when we recorded it live at Billy Bob's, which is in Fort Worth, Texas, and it was, Billy Bob's is one of the largest honky tonks in the world, maybe the largest, I don't know, but so it was a pretty insane audience, and there was a lot of pressure. They did tell us that they were recording prior to the show. I wish they hadn't done that, because I remember feeling like the band, everybody was just sort of second guessing, and everybody was just sort of playing it safe, and it wasn't the natural feeling we normally had on stage that night. And I want to say there was 2 nights, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe it was just recorded over one night. You know, they probably record every night, honestly, but their intentions were that the live record was recorded at Billy Bob's. And so, they might, who knows, with editing, they might be able to slot different parts of different songs from other shows in and kind of fly things in and comp a whole song together. They very well could do that, because we were playing to a click pretty much every song every night from the beginning to the end of the show. And so it would be really easy to just clock the tempos and fly them into a DAW and cut and paste as you need. So who knows? I'm not saying that happened, but I'm not saying that it didn't happen. So it'll be interesting to hear this live record, and I just, um, for the record, I just want to thank Tracy Lawrence for having the confidence in me and having me play on his live record. I think it's his it's the only live record he's put out since the '90s, to my knowledge. So it's been a long time coming, and I'm just super thrilled. So there's that. Yeah. For those of you who have been following me on social media, you've probably seen pictures that I've posted lately of me playing with the Nashville Symphony at the Schermerhorn Center, downtown Nashville, which is just a dream. It's just been so amazing. What an awesome experience it's been. Every production that I've been part of has been super fun and challenging, and just a fun hang. And I'm just getting to know some of the people who both are in the symphony who play, and some of the people who work backstage and the staff and whatnot. And it's been really, really a lot of fun hanging out with Sam Bacco, who's the principal percussionist for the symphony. He's just an amazing man, and he's just a wealth of knowledge he has. He's just a walking encyclopedia when it comes to anything drums and drum related, percussion for that matter. He's amazing, and it's just so fun to hang out with him and pick his brain and talk to him about all the different drum companies that he's been involved with, and how he tells me how he developed hardware for this company and that company, and he was involved with the Diamond series Craviotto drum kits, which was kind of short-lived, but who knows, maybe he'll bring that back. I don't know, but that would be kind of cool. I'd probably buy one of those kits. Knowing what I know now, and knowing Sam's expertise in drum building, and just his legacy, his whole history of being in the percussion world, really, 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 really cool. And so it's just been great playing with the symphony. I mean, I'm down there and I'm pinching myself. I'm like, wow, I'm the only drum set player in Nashville who is playing the Nashville Symphony on drum set. That's quite a feeling. That's a thing. Like, that is, wow. I'm speechless almost. I mean, just I don't know what to say. It's obviously, I've worked so hard to get where I am and to develop my talents and abilities. And sure, I went to school for classical percussion, so you could say I have a degree in following a conductor and knowing how to count 85 bars of rest, and coming in like on the end of two. And I'll say that's probably the hardest part of playing with the symphony, and the most challenging thing about it is just staying focused among pages and pages of rests. Sometimes you have pages and just literally pages of rests where you have to count, because at the end of the piece you got to come back in at the right place. And it's not just rests, but it's you're counting through tempo changes and rubato sections and parts, meter changes. And the conductor sometimes he might be conducting in 2 but it's really in 4, and so you have to make all these notes to yourself in the music. And there's some ways to cheat, having to count all the rests. One of those ways is during rehearsals, if you're really paying attention, try to listen to the orchestra and what they're playing, and maybe like at some point before your next entrance, so let's say 8 bars before your next entrance, maybe the French horns come in with some idea that they're playing, or there's some flute passage that's very unique, or there's something in the percussion world that's happening. Maybe the timpani enters with a big roll, or the snare drum stops. I mean, these are all things that I wrote in my drum set music to help me, so that I'm not lost, so that I come in at the right place, essentially, and it takes the pressure off me having to count hundreds of bars of rests. And while I still do count those 100 bars of rest, just because I don't like feeling lost, and I don't want to daydream while I'm sitting there counting, because it's really easy to do that. It's really easy to just sort of like get lost in not only the music, but just you look out, maybe there's the audience, you're looking around the room. I mean, it's all sorts of things you can think about during the time that passes by while counting 108 bars rest. So there's all these things that you can do, just writing cues, and as you're counting, there's that cue. Yep, that's where the trumpets are. Okay, I'm in the right spot. And then, maybe 35, 40 bars later, you have another cue that there's the timpani roll. Okay, yep, I'm still in the right place. And these little notes that I write in the music just really help to confirm that you're counting in the right place at the right time, and to ensure that you're going to come in at the right place when it's finally your turn to play. And it's amazing how exposed some of the drum set parts are, because you might be coming out of some rubato section, and I mean, the drum set parts are so easy, right? They're just like boom, dat, boom, boom, dat. But you have to enter, your downbeat has to come right at the right spot, and your tempo has to be right in exactly where it needs to be. And there's always a little bit of give and take with the conductor, and you have to have eye contact with the conductor and watching him or her like crazy, like white on rice. You just be on that person, and just and it's amazing how stressful it can be just to play this simple beat, this simple groove. It could be 8 bars long. Boom, dat, doom, dat, doom, dat, doom. That sounds easy, and it is easy. But that's not the hard part. Is coming in at the right spot, getting that downbeat together. Because you got to remember, when you're playing with the orchestra and the conductor, they have their baton, right? Their conductor's baton, and the downbeat isn't right there. The downbeat is there, 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 there. And so imagine the conductor holding out a section, and then boom, boom. So the conductor has, the motions are ahead of what actually the orchestra sounds. So it's something to kind of get used to at first. The orchestra always comes in late. Not late, but there's just it's like a delayed, because you imagine, there's like 100 people on stage, and they're all playing stringed instruments for the most part, and wind instruments as well. And to make a stringed instrument sound, it's not like a percussion. It's not like a snare drum where it just sounds immediately. You have to imagine you have a bow and the string, and even though they may start to play right on the beat as if there were a click track playing, which is another element that I've dealt with in the symphony, because we played a movie soundtrack, the movie soundtrack to Ratatouille. That was my first production with the symphony, and that was put to click track because the music has to sync to the video. Anyway, imagine that you're playing a string instrument. It doesn't sound right away. And same thing with a wind instrument. If you're playing trombone, and there's a slight delay, and so when those downbeats come, and you play a crash, and with the orchestra, you have to really gauge how far back are they going to play so that we're all together and playing in unison. There's a whole thing to it, and you just got to keep that in mind when you're doing it. So it's challenging, but in ways that maybe you're not used to. Certainly, if you've never played with an orchestra before, you'd probably be lost. You probably would not do well. So I'm super grateful for all my training at Ithaca College and studying with Gordon Stout, the famous marimbist, and all the great conductors that I had the pleasure of performing under while I was at school in college and previous high school and outside of school as well. I remember being in percussion ensembles and various other performance groups that utilized a conductor, and so all of that training is being used when I'm at the Symphony. And so yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm a fish out of water in any way at all, but it's just been a while. I mean, I haven't done a gig like that in quite a long time, where I'm following the conductor. I have done symphony gigs more recently in the past with the James Taylor Carole King tribute production that's arranged for full orchestra. But in that setting, I'm sort of leading the way, and the conductor is just there to help out with the arrangements and the string and woodwinds. Whereas more, it's the rhythm section that's the driving force in all these songs. Of course, these songs they're pop songs, so it's the rhythm section that's leading it. It's natural, and so that's a kind of a different experience, because with that group, I'm just playing like I normally would play. I'm setting a tempo. I'm not worried so much about where the conductor is. There might be moments of that, but not nearly as much as what I'm doing here with the Nashville Symphony, where I'm following the conductor all the way, and nobody's following me. If I get off, I'm off. The orchestra isn't, they're not going to go with me. So, yeah, it's kind of two different things there. So it's an interesting experience playing with them, and I'm just having a wonderful time. The Schermerhorn Center is such a fabulous place, venue, to perform and to see a show. I've been both, and it's got sort of an Art Deco thing going on. You should check it out if you ever come to Nashville. And support your local symphony is really what I want to say, because symphonies are typically not doing so well financially here in the United States, and so they need your support, and they need butts in the seats just like we all do at various other live music performances. So yeah, go to your symphony and check them out. It's certain these shows have certainly sparked an interest for me. I'm paying way more attention to the emails that come in as to who's playing with the symphony and what shows are being performed and what pieces they're playing. Even outside of the Pops Orchestra, I'm looking at, wow, maybe we should go see Mozart's Requiem, or the Rite of Spring. Definitely worth checking out. And the Nashville Symphony is really a wonderful symphony. They're very talented, and they're very good at what they do. So very, very fortunate to be called for whenever they need a drum set player, which is what it seems like it is. So yeah, I try to make myself available to them whenever they reach out to me. Over the weekend, I kind of had a stressful weekend, a little bit. Not stressful, but just I hadn't. Something else I hadn't done in a while was play with a wedding slash corporate band. And so I had two shows with a corporate band, wedding band, call it what you want. They weren't weddings though; these were corporate events. So I was really happy about that because I'm really burned out on playing weddings. I don't. If I never play another wedding again, that would be fine with me. So these were two corporate events that I played with a band called Burning Las Vegas, which I find to be a funny name because I spent 8 years in Vegas and I'm ready to burn Las Vegas myself. I certainly burned out of Las Vegas. It burned me out. So Burning Las Vegas, yeah. I was asked to play these two shows and just sort of fill in. And so I agreed to do it, and they sent me, the band leader sent me a song list and a whole Google folder just full of board tapes and what have you of various medleys that they perform, and just so I can hear some of the transitions from one song to the next which was helpful, so I did check a lot of those out, just especially to hear those transitions, because every band does those differently. And so, when it comes to bands like that, I mean, sometimes there are decisions made musically that don't make sense. Let's just put it that way. And it's for the greater good of there being a dance floor, and they're trying to get people on the dance floor and keep them on the dance floor. Or maybe there's some sort of flow to the show that they're trying to achieve. And yeah, so it helps to know where things are at and where they're coming from for stuff, just songs like that. Anyway, I'm rambling. I recorded the second show and on video on this camera that I'm using right now, and they had these great in-ear boxes that are all hardwired Ethernet style, and I noticed on the first show that there's a line out, so I took the line out. On the second show, I brought my camera and some cables, and I took a line out of my in-ear box and plugged it into this camera, and so now you have good sound through my in-ear mix as well as the video, and no syncing necessary, so even better. So I posted a video the other day of just a portion of the show I felt like was worth highlighting, and it was just some pocket stuff, but I just wanted to go over some takeaways. The next day after the show, I watched and listened back to the whole show from beginning to end, all 2.5 hours of playing, whatever it was, no breaks. And so I just wanted to go over some takeaways that I wrote down, that just some things that I noticed as I listened back. The first one being that having not played an intense 2 to 3 hour show like that in quite a long time, I did feel fatigued in both my hands and in my legs, maybe a little bit in my back. Just having low stamina for gigs like that, especially when you play Broadway gigs, you get breaks, and you play a song and you finish the song, and then you might not play for a minute to 2 minutes, maybe even longer sometimes, 5 minutes in between songs, while we decide what next song to play. Wedding gigs and corporate gigs are not like that. Dance gigs are not like that. Dance gigs are all about the drums. Keep going. no matter what else is happening song-wise. This song ends, that song begins, the drums just keep going, and it's madness sometimes because it's like 3 hours long of just doosh, 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 4 on the floor. And if you're not used to doing that, that is intense. I started to develop blisters both on my right thumb from playing and on my left inside of my thumb here where I hold the stick traditional grip, and I was just getting a little bit of a blister like in here, and but they both started to hurt and bother me, and I thought, uh-oh. And about halfway through that second show, for a couple of songs, for a little while there, maybe half an hour, I switched to playing match grip with my left hand just to give my left hand, this thumb area, a break and just use a different group of muscles and a different part of my hand touching the stick. And that did help. I'm not as comfortable playing match grip anymore. I hardly ever do it. But it was just out of necessity, and I was really, really glad that I had that ability to switch over and just... Plus, it did make sense. We were playing a lot of dance stuff, and I was borrowing their SPDSX Roland drum pad, electronic drum pad, and I was playing a bunch of claps and stuff on that, so match grip made more sense to do that anyways. So yeah, that just definitely a takeaway there. It's like, wow, and there's really, there's no amount of home practice that you could simulate that intense style playing while on a gig like that, and especially not for so long. I mean, you wouldn't do that at home. Play 3 hours of just 4 on the floor, like super loud music. You're just not going to do that. I think you'd be crazy to do that, honestly. So yeah, something I was really pleased with, though, while listening back to the video, is that, during the gig, I was really focused on just playing good time, making the music feel really good, and just purposely laying back on a few things. Even though I noticed there was, on some of the board tapes, some of the songs were a little too slow for my taste. And I was not really given any instruction on any of this, so in terms of tempo, so I was just told, he was going to count off. I didn't have to worry about any count offs. He counted off everything that needed to be counted off. The band leader did. And so that took the pressure off of me. But at the same time, my job is to make things feel good and really gauge if the singers are comfortable, and obviously if the dance floor is packed or not. I mean, that's always a good sign. So those were things that I was focused on, and I was just trying to stay relaxed and play within myself and don't play too hard, play loud, play aggressive, and be assertive with the time and with the tones, but don't be don't overdo it. Don't play outside of your means, kind of thing. And I felt really like I did a really good job with that. I didn't play too busy. I was really focused on just lay it down, play simple fills, and don't try to ham anything up or muck it up in any way. These were big venues, so even if I did play a lot of notes, it probably wouldn't really sound that great because it just wouldn't be heard correctly. It would just be a kind of a mess, like a wash in the reverb of the room. So yeah, something else that I was focused on was just not worrying about little mistakes, especially transitioning between songs. This is a new band, no rehearsal. I'm just kind of following the leader and just going off the cuff here, and tempos. Some of the songs would slam into a new tempo and just be a lot slower, and so if I made a mistake and kind of maybe went over or stepped in something, don't worry about it. And I think nobody was worried about that. I mean, everybody expects a new drummer to make little tiny mistakes like that, especially in a long show where there's all these transitions and the band is used to playing it a certain way that's completely new to the drummer. And try as they might to telegraph things, sometimes it just doesn't work. And sometimes, I mean, some of the cues just weren't given. Some of the cues that I was told would be there just weren't there. So I think maybe the band leader was getting comfortable enough that he thought he didn't have to cue me. I don't know, but or maybe he was just lost in the moment and having a good time and forgot that I was back there. And that's fine. Like, no biggie, because I can roll with the punches, and that's just part of the gig, and just kind of the name of the game when you take a gig like that. So I was pretty pleased with myself with how that all kind of came out, and I handled myself well. I didn't get flustered, and start going down like a rabbit hole of like frustration or anything like that, because that can sometimes happen when you make mistakes, and you start to dwell on the mistake, and then you make another mistake, and then you make another mistake, and you're just like so that really wasn't happening. And so I felt comfortable, and it was good. And the last thing that I kind of came out with from just watching that show that I recorded was just a stereo in-ear mix is awesome. I just have to say it. These boxes, I forget what he called them, Da Vinci boxes or I forget what they are, but they're run by Ethernet, and we had a stereo mix, and I could dial in almost like a recording studio where you could push on the guitar and throw him to the side, and if I want the keyboard on the other side, I can do that, or I can put the toms in stereo and that sort of thing. It was really nice to have that, and I definitely noticed the sound quality was quite excellent through my in-ears. So yeah, it was interesting loading out it was Saturday night, and Taylor Swift was performing. She was here all weekend, and she had like 70,000 people at her show every night. So like the whole city was inundated with like 500,000 people between her show and various other activities that were happening through downtown. And of course, our show ended right about the same time that probably her show ended, around 11 p.m. on Saturday, and just throngs of people downtown, and I had to get the car out of valet and get over to the loading dock, and yeah, it was nuts. It took me like half an hour to go literally around the corner. It was just gridlock traffic, and there's all these young girls and their moms or whoever else they're with, I don't know, just groups of all these throngs of girls all dressed in these crazy outfits, these sparkly outfits. They look like cheerleaders that were like from an 80s movie or something. I don't even know, but they had a great time, it seemed like, and but I managed to get through, and it was tough, and took a lot longer than it should have, but I was able to load out without any drama, pretty much. So that was nice, and I just kind of took my time and put my patience hat on, and just went into it knowing that it was going to be kind of a it was going to be pretty messed up. The whole city was pretty messed up, but so yeah, it was fine, no big deal. I got home a little bit later than I probably would have otherwise, but that's not a big deal. So yeah, that's basically it. It's all I planned for this here episode. I just want to say thanks for joining me here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and it really helps me out, helps out the channel, helps me grow this this program. And if I hear good feedback from you guys, that really goes a long way for me to keep doing these. If you like this format, let me know. I'm just sort of talking off the cuff here, but I just made a few notes, to kind of guide myself while I'm jabbering on here. But if there's anything that I can make better, if hopefully hopefully my voice sounds clear. I'm just using the microphone here and the camera, which actually it's a nice microphone. It's an XY zoom camera microphone, but I just want to make sure that my voice is loud and clear and that there's no distractions, and hopefully I'm in focus and the color and him here in my studio. So got the drums in the background there. So hopefully it's a nice backdrop for you to look at. And like I said in the beginning, I hope to do more of these once a week, weekly vlogs, if you will, and just kind of give you updates on what's happening in my world and some things that I'm thinking about, some things maybe. So episodes coming up would be maybe some things that I'm practicing, things that I'm thinking about, like I said, other gigs and sessions that I'm working on. I am working on a session right now, and I just started today, for an amazing guitarist who's a super high-achieving YouTuber. His channel is called Music is Win. Go check him out. He's awesome, especially if you love guitar music. So this tune is really cool that he sent me, and it's kind of a guitar shredder kind of thing, and it leaves a ton of room for big drums and fills and just cool stuff that you wouldn't typically get to play on a singer-songwriter session, let's just say, and challenging as well. So a lot of fun, and more stuff like that, and maybe some things that I'm let's see, later on this week, Friday night, I've got my MILEStones gig. I lead a Miles Davis tribute. We're playing at Rudy's, playing at 8 p.m. So if you're in Nashville, Friday night, 8 p.m. at Rudy's, get your tickets and check it out. It's all the music of Miles Davis with the focus on the two great quintets. And I'm having the band over tomorrow early for rehearsal. So I'm excited about that, and we've got some new music and some new tunes coming. So lots to dig into there, and as well, I've got a new trio that I'm hopefully looks like we're debuting soon enough in about 2 weeks. We're also playing at Rudy's on a Friday night. It's 11 p.m. I forget the date. Oh my gosh. Let me just say real quick. It is May 26th. 11 p.m. at Rudy's. The band is called Hot Hands, and it's a trio, keyboards, drums, and electric bass, and it features some original music and some different takes on some standard style tunes, all instrumental, really kind of jazz fusion stuff, really, really cool stuff. We've been working hard on this stuff every week for like past few months, and so excited to debut this band. So Hot Hands, check them out. We're on Instagram now, Hot Hands Band, I think. So much to dive into and talk about, and of course just drums and drumming and drum lessons. And I want to talk about my floor tom that I put new legs on, and I'll talk about why I did that and what I was going for with that, and all sorts of other things here in the studio. So stay tuned. Please like and subscribe once again, and leave a comment. Let me know what you want to hear about and some ideas maybe that you have for the vlog, the weekly vlog, as it were. All right, guys. I'm going to sign out. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again.